Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura. And someone challenged me to make a challenge so that I could challenge not only myself, but the viewers. So today I came up with a challenge. I have 10 5-inch pre-cut squares. So what can I make with those? And what would you make with them? When you do finish this video, if you have made something with 10 5-inch squares, please put it on the Facebook page called Sew Very Easy and let's see what you've come up with. But today, I'll share what I've come up with. So let's get started. I have 10 squares left over from a package of this Moongate from Maywood. And I will need 5 pieces of batting that are going to be a little bit smaller. So they're going to be 4.5 inches. So I've taken 9 of my squares and I've made an X. So I have 1 square left over. I need to put batting on these 5 center ones. So I'm going to turn them over. And I want to put the batting right in the middle so that I have that 1/4 inch all the way around the outside. Now this is a great opportunity to use little scraps of batting because they don't need to be the same type of batting. But we will need to stick this batting on. So you could use a spray adhesive. You could even use a child's clear glue. You can even use a glue stick. We just want to stick this on so it doesn't move. So just a little bit of glue. Center that and press down. Once the glue is dried, flip back those squares. Flip those ends on top of all 4 of the battings. Stitch a 1/4 inch along those top seams. And we're going to see that 1/4 inch because we're going to be able to follow that edge of the batting. I'm going to put them back and I'm not too worried if they're still in order because I know all of the fabrics are going to match. But I do want to press these seam allowances. So take one end and press the seams going in one direction and take the other end and press the seams coming in. And it won't matter which arm you do, we just need opposite pressing. This centerpiece that does have that batting needs to be sewn on these 4 seams. But we need to stop and start at a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to use that batting as a guide. So I'm going to place that first edge together. I'm going to start right there in that corner where the batting is, backstitch a little bit, stitch, and backstitch. So this 1/4 inch on those corners are not going to be stitched. So what I did, I started in this corner and I stitched and stopped there. So those corners are not stitched together, just the center seam. When you open it up, those corners are not sewn all the way down. I have that 1 seam done. Now I'm going to go in and do that second. Match up that fabric. Now when I flip it over, I'm going to be able to start where I finished, backstitch, and go right to that edge. So I will not be stitching in this corner, and I will not be stitching in that corner. Once that second edge has been done, I'm going to flip and do the third. I'm matching the edges, but I'm only stitching inside. I'm not coming right off of the edge. I now have this last seam to do. And that last seam, we're going to stop and start where we stopped and started on both edges. I now have all 9 stitched together. I want to take these 2 seams and sew them together. These 2 together, these 2, and these 2. So we're going to be able to just match that up. When we press the seams going in one direction, then another direction, these seams are going to nestle together. So nestle those seams together. Start right there where that 1/4 inch is, stitch, and stop at a 1/4 inch, and backstitch. We can open it up, and those 2 edges that are matching are going to match together. And we're going to sew all 4 of those arms together, matching up our seams and stopping and starting a 1/4 inch. Here's a close-up where I've stopped and started at that 1/4 inch. Instead of coming all the way off or starting off, I've started at that 1/4 inch. So when you get to these corners, you're still doing that 1/4 inch. So none of those edges are stitched. So we have this long box shaped, and this piece without the batting is going to get folded right along that edge, all the way around. So we are definitely making a little box. I'm going to match up that top and press right along that seam. That pressing definitely makes that look a lot nicer along the top. So now I need to work on the bottom. Make sure all of these edges are flat and together, and you'll be able to tell that because all of these edges right along this edge are going to match up. Match up those edges, bring it to the machine, and sew a little bit in here. You don't have to go right to the edges, but just get into a comfortable spot, stitch on all of these edges. That row stitching is just to hold those layers down. I do want to glue that over to the batting. And a child's glue stick's going to work fine. Just put some glue, and then smooth it down from the inside. And you can feel that's right along that edge. So the seam allowance is now stuck onto the batting. So glue all those seam allowances onto that batting. And let that bottom dry. In the meanwhile, I need to do something with the bottom so that it can cover this batting. I do still happen to have that cardboard that this came on. But if not, just get any size cardboard and cut it down to a small 4.5 inches. I do want this cardboard smaller than that bottom because I want to glue those edges over onto that bottom. The child's glue really does work well for this fun project. I'm using this purple one so that you can see it, but you can use the clear or the white one. Once that edge is glued down, I have a nice finish for the bottom of the box. Turn this little basket right side out so that that batting is inside. And this will go inside, but before we do that, we can press these edges. I'm going to match up that area and just press that seam. Take your iron and just press that seam. You can give it a little steam. If you have a clapper, you can put that down so that that heat sets. If not, just hold it a minute with your hand. You want that heat to really penetrate all those layers. And do all 4 sides that way. That little bit of pressing really does give it more of that box shape. Now we can put in that cardboard bottom and snug up those corners. The box is now done, and we can always give it a little bit of a cuff if we want it shorter. We now have a finished pretty little box. That little extra firm bottom really makes it sit nice. And it looks good from all sides. And if you ever need to wash it, we can take out that cardboard piece, give this a wash, press it, and put that support right back in. The whole key to putting this little box together is to stop and start at that 1/4 inch. The batting already gives us the markings, so we do not have to mark it. Just follow the batting lines. Stopping and starting, so we have that little 1/4 inch hanging over. That 1/4 inch hanging over makes the box bend right in those corners, so it gives us nice flat corners. 10 5-inch squares. I'd love to see what you have made with your 10-inch squares. Be sure to go to Facebook and look for Sew Very Easy and post your pictures. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy, and thank you for joining into the challenge. And as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.